Here at CPAC St. Louis, honored to be joined by former Senator Rick Santorum, now the chairman of Patriot Voice. It's good to see you, sir.
Hey, Cameron, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Sir, when you watch now from outside Congress and you saw what happened with the budget and Obama and Senator Cruz and jam the phone lines and defund it and makes D.C. listen, do you think Washington is at the lowest point it's been in a long time?
Well, I mean, it's always been a great divide between the left and the right, but now there's obviously deep divisions within the party that's very disconcerting, and it's a problem that we better get through and figure out our way, because it's hard enough to beat the other side with all the tools they have at their behest than to try to do it with a fissured party. And I'm hopeful that the leadership within the Republican Party, which has taken a very different course than I would take, is willing to sit down and try to work to actually bring everybody together with a plan that can move the ball forward. And right now, I don't really see any evidence of that. I mean, I think we had an opening this week with Joe Manchin saying, maybe it's time to suspend the individual mandate. And look, I'd take that in a heartbeat right now. And so that's what we have to start focusing on. What's our way out of this mess?
So you're with the group, you are chairman of Patriot Voices, but when you talk about the voices of the patriots and the ones who are yelling at Washington, we don't want Obamacare, we don't want Obamacare, but then it still goes through. Do patriots get upset? Do they give up?
No. I mean, it's a battle. It's not the war. This is a battle, and we'll have many opportunities to come back and continue to fight the battle. And I think there was a lot accomplished here in pointing out how injurious Obamacare is to the country, rallying people to focus on it. Frankly, I wish we'd have had this kind of energy and enthusiasm in the last election, because we'd made Obamacare the center point of the last election. I think we'd have won the last election, but we didn't. And I think it shows you how visceral this issue is in America, and we would have had a much more vigorous campaign. And now we're stuck fighting the actual president. That's a little harder to do because he holds all the cards right now, and so you just got to keep at it, keep fighting those battles, and take little victories as we go along.
Senator Kerry signed the United Nations Arms Trade Treaty. What do you think will happen in the Senate, and what do you think about the Obama administration, just war on the Second Amendment?
Well, it's not just the war on the Second Amendment, it's the war on the Constitution generally. I mean, this is a guy who wants to have the UN come in and dictate everything to us. I mean, he's signing treaty after treaty after treaty and throwing to the United States Senate. This is just one of a long laundry list where he's trying to usurp our rights and say that the UN and international bodies should be the ones determining what our Constitution means. Remember that a treaty signed by the United States is the highest form of law. I mean, that's what the Constitution says. So you've got really serious issues here when you have a president who doesn't believe in our Constitution, doesn't believe in the laws of our country, and since he can't change them directly, he goes to treaties and tries to get them changed through treaty.
What's the best way for patriots, as your organization says, or just your average citizen, to get their voices heard in Washington?
The most important thing is not just to get your voices heard in Washington. I think one of the things that conservatives have done for far too long is just focus on that and focus on politics. I mean, you look at what's going on, with Second Amendment rights all over the country. I mean, it's not just Washington, D.C., it's local governments, it's state governments. And so we need to focus on politics across the board, number one. Number two, we also have to focus on the culture. Look at what the popular culture is doing in changing people's minds about what the Second Amendment is. What the First Amendment is, religious liberty, for example. They are out there consciously doing movies and television shows and music and everything, the popular culture, to try to change young people and change America's mindset as to what the values are of this country. And so we've got to engage in that area too. We have to engage in our schools, because schools are teaching our children, things that aren't consistent with the Second Amendment or the First Amendment and a whole host of other things. So my answer is, whatever your calling is, whether it's to get involved in your school, to get involved in your community, to get involved in your business or in your church, get involved. Every front matters. They do. We don't. We need to.
Finally, you talked about popular culture. Talk about what you're doing in terms of popular culture and productions.
That's one of the things that I'm very excited about, is that I've gotten an opportunity now to be the CEO of a company, Echo Light Studios, ECHOLIGHT. Echo Light Studios, we make inspirational and family films, and we're going to make films about the truth. We're going to make films about the values that made our country great. We're going to celebrate the good things in people that inspire and lift up this country, and we're going to make sure sure that we deliver a message that that is hopeful and positive, inspiring and optimistic. That's what Americans are looking for, and that's what we need, and that's what America is, a hopeful, inspired country. And Hollywood has tried to drag us down and change us into something that makes us dependent and reliant upon the government, and not somewhat people who are free and independent, but people who are looking for someone else to provide for them. That's simply unacceptable, and that's why I've engaged in Ecolight, and I hope that people look at our movies and watch them and support us, and we can make more and more and bring other people into the industry and start fighting back.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.